New coordinator, same mindset. Ohio State's defense is built to attack.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Thursday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. During today's show, we'll discuss 3 freshmen that can make an impact in 2025, as well as why Matt Patricia will be successful at Ohio State. But first, anytime there's a coordinator change, you're trying to figure out what to expect on that side of the ball. Ohio State has 2 new coordinators, a new play caller on offense, and a new D coordinator, which makes a lot of fans curious about what to expect. Well, there's one thing that we saw last year at Ohio State on the defensive side of the ball, and that's something that will be sustained under Ryan Day for the rest of his time in Columbus. It's how fast they play. It's how physical they are. Because one thing is true about the Buckeyes defense. They're built to attack. They're going to be the aggressor every time they're on the field. They're going to force the offense to do what the Buckeyes defense wants them to do. It's none of this, no, they're going to let the other team dictate what goes on. No, the Buckeyes are built to attack, and they'll dictate the terms on the field every single day. That wasn't just something that was going to happen under Jim Knowles. It's also going to happen under Matt Patricia. And for Matt Patricia to come into Ohio State right now after winning a national championship, it may be similar to him, even though there are obvious differences, 2 times after the Patriots won the Super Bowl. Not that he was coming into a place that was new to him, but the expectation is already high. It's already set so high that you almost have to be insane to even entertain coaching at a place like Ohio State. Not gonna lie to you. I mean, if you're a coach at Ohio State, you got to have a few screws loose because the job is not for everybody. The place is not for everybody. And so for Patricia to come in and knowing that Ohio State just won the ultimate prize, they weren't perfect last year, but they fixed a lot of their wrongs, and they won the Natty. So he knows how to keep that standard high. He knows how to come in and to sustain the level of success that's already there. But his job is easy on defense. Find guys that are going to play fast, they're going to be physical, but also do it in a way that makes it easy for them. Because we think about it all the time and talk about it last year. Last year at Ohio State, I heard this a couple times, actually, that there were times that Ohio State was going into a game with just too many calls on defense. And it forced guys to think way too much. And while they're thinking too much, while they normally are fast players when they don't have to think, all of a sudden, when you're overthinking and you're double-checking and triple-checking, all of a sudden you're behind the 8 ball and the guy is scoring that was right in front of you before the snap of the ball, and you try to figure out what happened. I'm thinking too much. Well, one thing Matt Patricia has done already is spring ball, and I know its install is not complete, as going to be going in through training camp in the fall. It's going to be the fact that Matt Patricia is going to try to lay things out so easily and so plainly for these guys that's going to allow them to not be a player that's wanting to double check or triple check their work, but simply just be a player that is there doing their job and doing it as free as they can. Yeah, it's easier said than done, but that's what you want, even on offense. Where offense, there are checks and there's structure on offense and defense. But some of the structure on offense is a little bit more structured than a defense, and it causes you to be very calculated with your steps and calculated with your moves. Same thing on defense, don't get me wrong. But if a quarterback calls a check, you got to realize, bam, I got to move quickly. This is a whole different play. On defense, you got checks, but you also got instincts. And you're flying around as free as you can be to do one thing. Bring the guy with the ball down to the ground. That's it. That's it. Get there as fast as you can and bring that guy that has the ball to the ground as fast as you can. And I think Patricia's experience in the NFL with various types of players. I'm going to talk about more about that in the very next segment. It's going to help him at Ohio State because you're coming in right now with only 3 returning starters in Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, and Davison Igbinosun. They got some guys that played a little bit of ball last year, and Caden Curry and Kenyatta Jackson Jr. and Arvell Reese and Jermaine Matthews Jr. So you got guys that have played a little bit, but not in a full-time starting role. But those are the guys you can kind of lean on in the upcoming year, and you can kind of look at and push them to be leaders, and push them to be more vocal, because not only do the players around them need that kind of leadership, I think Patricia needs that too. Because if it was just 3 of 11 starters from a year ago are still at Ohio State and the other guys that were backups didn't play a lot, Ohio State wouldn't be as confident in the guys they currently have as far as knowing what they'll be on the field. And I, myself, would not be as confident in the guys that are currently on the roster and what they're going to be on the field, because you don't have a lot of film to go off of to make your opinion. You're going to have some film. Yeah, high school film, which is outdated, it's old, it's obsolete in this conversation. But what you also have this year, you don't have to rely on the high school film. You don't have to. No, sorry, Bob. With Curry, with Jackson Jr., with Reese, Matthews Jr., even Jalen McClain and Malik Hartford, what do you have? You have college film to go off of. And while you're going off of that, that's going to help Patricia formulate a plan that he's already been formulating to allow these guys to play fast and physical. Now, you might want to say, Jay, isn't it expected for a defense to play fast and physical? Yes, it is expected. But it doesn't happen as often as you would think. There are times the players are literally forced to think over and over and over again, and they overthink and they get nervous and they take false steps, or they simply stop in their tracks, and the next thing you know, you're wondering, why did that happen? Because they're forced to think too much, because the calls that they went over during the week were too complex. And that is one of the things that players have raved about Matt Patricia, is the fact that he's not doing things that are super complex. Everything's clear. There's no gray area. If there is, he's trying to clear it up, make it as clean as day, because he wants things to be so simple that guys don't overthink. Guys aren't stopping in their tracks. I remember one time, I'm going to close up shop on this little story here, when I started covering high school sports in the area. The boss said, hey, interview, and this is shame on me, got a little cold feet before an interview. Now, the interview ended up happening, but got a little cold feet, got delayed. But the boss says, hey, interview a guy after a game. I had never done that before. I didn't really do all the things pregame to talk to the coach, get to know him a little bit, and then go ahead and tell him, hey, after the game, I want to meet you here. Win or lose, want to meet you here. I don't say win or lose, I just say after the game. I didn't do that. And so I kind of stuttered and stopped in my tracks and got a little nervous. Next thing you know, game ends. I'm trying to go out there and find him. I didn't do one thing I need to do after a game, which is follow the coach, know where he is going, know where he is, know where the huddle is, maybe know, hey, this coach on this team, he goes up to the press box because he does stuff for the radio and the live stream video before doing any other interviews with other media that are there covering the game. I didn't do any of that. I was a novice. I didn't have any of the experience doing it. I also didn't have anybody leading me. I was a one-man band and made mistakes along the way. But one thing I did, though, is I stopped in my tracks. Not only did I not follow my own checklist before the game, I stopped and paused and got cold feet. Well, what happens after the fact is, I know now certain coaches, there is one school that I cover on Friday nights where the high school football coach goes to the press box first, does the live video, the interview with the broadcast team, live streaming the game, does an interview with the radio station there covering the game, the local radio station, and then he'll do newspaper and other digital media outlets to do interviews with them. Well, I know that. But also, there's a checklist. There are eyeballs. There's people I'm watching. For Patricia, he has his own checklist. He's trying to make sure that he follows everything. And while he's following everything, it's going to allow these Buckeyes to not get cold feet on the field, to not pause in their tracks because they're overthinking, but to simply go out there, play fast and physical and free on the field, and to attack on every down. While they're attacking on every down, that taps into why I believe, based off Matt Patricia's experience as a coach in general, that he will be successful at Ohio State. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off, and they also have live player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Are you new to FanDuel? Well, if you are, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Yo, that's so good. I got to say it again. New to FanDuel? It's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Matt Patricia, we talked about it. We have documented it. And I'm sure it'll come up a few more times throughout the summer. He came to Ohio State with some baggage. It wasn't the kind of good baggage that you would like a person to come with. May it be a trophy or some Super Bowl rings. It's that kind of baggage that you wanted to leave at their last stop. Stuff from Detroit. Stuff from the 90s. Stuff where players are ripping him and talking bad about Patricia. People were trying to tear this man's name down. And it caused a lot of Ohio State fans to really pause and contemplate if Matt Patricia was the right guy for Ohio State. I'm going to say he was the only person that fit the description of being a good enough and qualified D coordinator for the Buckeyes. I am not saying that. I think Brent Venables, if he was not wanting to be a head coach anymore and he wanted to be a D coordinator, come on to Columbus. I think Brent Venables would be an ideal D coordinator for what Ryan Day wants as a head coach. Patricia's here, and I think he'll be successful. Yeah, I know the noise. I know the Detroit stuff. I know that he didn't coach in 2024. I know that he was not a coordinator with the Eagles. His last NFL job. Yeah, the stuff in the 90s, that's real too. I'm not trying to diminish or push away the reality of the situation. However, when you take all that stuff away, you can't really take away the Detroit stuff because that stuff is really like he wasn't successful as a head coach. Also, newsflash, most coaches aren't successful during their first head coaching job at any level. So for you to say that about Matt Patricia, to say, oh, he did this and that's why he shouldn't be here, Ryan Day is not the rule. He's the exception to the rule because most coaches aren't successful during their first head coaching job. That's elementary stuff. Level 101. This is a college show. So I don't knock him for his lack of success there with the Detroit Lions. It was kind of expected for him to have some issues and to have some growing pains along the way. But for the future of Patricia at Ohio State, I think he's going to bring a lot of the lessons he learned at New England with him to Columbus because he learned a lot of good stuff from Bill Belichick, who apparently is now engaged to Jordan Hudson. Congratulations to them. I sure hope that the noise around his name and his future at North Carolina begins to get cleared up and the drama goes away because homie's been filled with drama and drama that normally is not around his name when he's coaching a team. I think Patricia will be fine. And it's not just because of his success or the things on his resume. Matt Patricia has always done a great job of building a defense and crafting a defense that fits the personnel that he's leading that year. Yeah, now the base may be the same. In New England, it was mainly a 3-4 base. At Ohio State, Ryan Day may say, hey, stick to your 4-2-5 base defense. Great. Okay, Patricia can work with that. But also, I think 2025, let's say he stays until 2026. Let's even say the unthinkable happens and he's here in 2027. what are you going to find? The base might be the same, but you might find that Patricia is going to tap into Sonny Styles to Caleb Downs this year. The following year might be Peyton Pierce. The following year might be Zion Grady. What are you finding? He is tapping to different players at different levels on the field to be the catalyst or to be the leaders or to be the ones that the players follow every single down. And I think Patricia's ability to kind of be a chameleon is going to be huge, especially with the ever-changing landscape of college football. Have you heard about the College Sports Commission that's currently being proposed and is discussing teams that are in that thing can't sue the commission? Oh, yeah, the fact that if your team does not want to sign the binding contract, you'll be expelled from your conference. I mean, there's so many weird things about the whole thing to begin with, but that is a reality that Ohio State and other college football teams are going to have to deal with this commission or potentially deal with the commission and deal with different governance and different rules and different guidelines. And, oh, I don't want to follow that, but I want to be a part of this team thing because if I'm not a part of this thing, I can't schedule the teams that are inside of that thing. It's going to be a mess. And for Patricia, while that's going to be a mess, and that's going to impact Ohio State, he can allow Ryan Day to work on that and for Ryan Day to push those buttons while Patricia consistently utilizes his chameleon tactics to help the Buckeyes defense be great this year and the following year and for however long he's at Ohio State. I don't think he'll be at Ohio State very long, to be honest with you. I mean, 2 years max. I have not viewed him as a coach that's going to come to Ohio State and will be at Ohio State for the next 10 years. It'd be great if he was, but when you think about where he's been most of his career and where I think he wants to get back to, and even financially, Ohio State's not going to pay you what the New England Patriots or any NFL team will be able to pay you as a D coordinator. I mean, look at Chip Kelly, for instance. Chip Kelly came into Ohio State. I believe he got paid $2 million to be the coordinator last year. All of a sudden, he tripled his salary by going back to the NFL to the Raiders. Patricia sees that. And I'm sure Patricia's thinking, I want to be at the highest level. I also want to make a lot more money, maybe double or triple what I'm currently making. And the only way for him to accomplish that goal is to go to the NFL. If he went to the CFL, he ain't making that kind of bread. If he goes to coach any of these football leagues around the country outside of the US of A, I don't know where the F came from, US of A or Canada, what's going to happen? He ain't going to make that much money. My brother played football in Japan. No, Australia, not Japan. Australia. And he didn't make that much. It wasn't like a salary that's like the biggest of your lifetime. No, he played Paul in Australia because he wanted to play past college from Australia to the Iowa Barnstormers. What do you find? If you are at the top level in another country, you ain't making bread like you are at Ohio State. You ain't making bread like you are in the CFL. No. So, yeah, Patricia wants to be a coach. I believe at the highest level. He can use this. He can parlay this into getting the bag, the ultimate bag at the end of the season. I give him 2 years max. I could be wrong. But that's just my prediction right now. Somebody may clip this and come back to this in 2 years and say, Jay, you were wrong. You predicted 2 years. He's staying for a third. Okay. I'd be cool with that, but just my prediction right now, based off my feeling about Matt Patricia, is that I think not only Patricia, but other coaches along the way will use Ohio State, like Saban, like a lot of them used Alabama, Sark being one of them. Go down there for a year or two, lift up your name, get on the biggest stage, do things against some of the best teams in the country, and then what are you going to find? An opportunity to go coach elsewhere and make a whole lot more money. For Patricia, I think it's the same thing. Come to Ohio State, be a chameleon, be the kind of coach that can tap into whatever personnel is there and make it succeed while also allowing them to play fast and free. And you know what's going to happen? Will be happy at the end of the day because he's going to get paid. He's going to do a lot of winning at the same time. Getting paid and doing a lot of winning, those things are great. You know what's also great? 3 freshmen. at Ohio State on defense that I believe will make an impact in 2025. I'll unveil that list next. Thank you all for tapping in the Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. I have been going over lists and various lists all week. We touched on one from ESPN earlier this week. I believe CBS Sports is unveiling their top 64? 60 plus coaches at the FBS level. I don't know, or not FBS level, the power conference level. Forgive me. My numbers, I'm normally a numbers guy, but that one escaped me. We'll touch on that potentially on tomorrow's show as long as that list comes out when I think it does. It's list season. And I got a list for you. And this is not just a list just to fill space. This is reality because I believe there are 3 Buckeye freshmen on defense that can make an impact this year. And I'm going to preface this before going into the list by saying a lot of their damage will be done in special teams. It will not be done on defense in a edge rusher position or in the secondary or anything like that. These are 3 primary guys that are probably going to be relegated to special teams that will make an impact there. The first one is Devin Sanchez. Maybe self-explanatory. I think he's going to find himself in the two deep. Right now, my projected corners that are going to be starting at Ohio State that hasn't changed since the last time we did this a few months ago. Dave Shedib-Ganosin at one corner spot. Jermaine Mathis Jr. at the other corner spot. The nickel corner for right now is Lorenzo Styles Jr. And I don't think there's anything Devin Sanchez can do, at least right now, to jump into that role, any one of those roles, if everybody stays healthy. I say if because in 2021, Denzel Burke got thrown out there into the fire because there was an injury to Seven Banks. Seven Banks got hurt. Denzel Burke was the next man up, and the rest is history about his Buckeye career. That's how he got started. I think Devin Sanchez has a phenomenal opportunity to be a backup corner, a guy that's primarily on special teams, making a name for himself right away. Think about Chris Olave, his freshman year at Ohio State. Blocked that punt, and all of a sudden, that's where his name got bigger. You know about Chris Olave, followed him recruiting the kid that was out on the West Coast, I believe a 3-star kid. Ohio State and Ryan Day weren't even out there looking at him. They went out there to look at somebody else, and then all of a sudden, Olave caught their eye. The next thing you know, he's a Buckeye legend. I mean, a legit legend. I don't get many Ohio State players' jerseys. I have his jersey in my closet. Why? Because he's a dog, an absolute dog. But he got his name his freshman year, and it started on defense. For Devin Sanchez, his ability to be a lockdown corner in the future will be fun to watch. I don't think we're going to get a lot of that from him this year, especially when I think you're going to get a lot of play out of the 3 starting corners. But I think Devin Sanchez is one of those guys that you better get your eye on and know where he is when he's out there on the field, because if you don't, he might torch you. The second one doesn't get as much attention as I thought it was going to is Zion Grady. Now, the part of that is because Ohio State has 4 defensive ends ahead of him right now in Caden Curry, Kenyatta Jackson Jr., Bo Atkinson, and Logan George. I mean, legit, Zion Grady is a 5th defensive end, 5th edge rusher. Then you add in Arvo Reese and Hicks, CJ Hicks, that is, playing on the edge this year. That's 6 guys that are right now ahead of Zion Grady. However, I don't think Reese and Hicks are going to be guys that put their hand in the dirt. Zion Grady can. I think if somebody gets hurt up top, one of the top 4 guys, the next man up is Zion Grady. As a true freshman, absolutely, 100%. But also, it's another special teams guy. I told you, a lot of these guys' damage will be done on special teams. But his length, his speed, his ability to be the kind of edge rusher that Ohio State has been looking for and desperate to have. I mean, you want to talk about thirsty Buckeyes. My goodness. There are a lot of thirsty Buckeyes out there because everybody's wanting the same thing. Everybody is wanting the elite pass rusher. I mean, Ohio State's been pushing for that for 5-6 years. Think about it. After Chase Young went away, who is the next best edge rusher? I'll wait. I'll give you a little bit more time. Because you got to think about it. Some may say Tuamalowell. Some may say Sawyer. Some may say Zach Harrison. Are any of those guys as edge rushers up to the standard that has been set at Ohio State? I'll give you a little bit more time. I'm not answering that question. That's for you to answer. Zion Grady, am I saying he's going to be Chase Young or one of the Bosa's or maybe even Sam Hubbard? No, I am not. But I do think this year he can make his name known, primarily on special teams. I think he'll make an impact. Last but not least, it's Faheem, Delane. Jalen McClain and Malik Harford have gotten a lot of attention. Because those guys are the expected starting strong safety to replace Lathan Ransom, who is now off into the NFL, which they should. They've been there longer than Delane. They played a lot of Buckeye football. They know what Ryan Day wants. They understand the culture. I mean, they get a lot of things right. The issue I have is I don't know which one is the upper hand, and I think Faheem Delane is going to make some noise for himself during fall camp. Now, it may not be enough to start because Ryan Day is very, very loyal. He is faithful to those guys that are at the program that stick it out, that grind and move up and do a lot of the dirty work nobody else wants to do. Ryan Day is a very, 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 very loyal man. And so when it comes to Hartford and McClain, they may say, y'all been here, y'all been grinding, y'all been working. One of y'all two is going to start. And Ryan Day has the right to do that. He's the head coach. He has the final say. But also Ryan Day has the opportunity to say, I know y'all been here for a long time, but this young cat is good. He's special. He even had an INT in the spring game. Many of you may remember that, him going up, I believe, the right sideline after snagging that ball out of the air. I think Faheem Delane, out of all three of these guys, might make the biggest impact. Because I think Zion Grady's potential impact, at least on defense, got diminished and lowered because Ohio State went out there and got Bo Atkinson, who I think I originally said, I forget what I originally said, but my thought now about Atkinson is that he's coming into Ohio State not generally to be a backup. Homie's coming in to play. Let's ratchet it up a little bit. Homie's coming in to start. And so while that's the case, that's going to limit Zion Grady's potential impact on defense. I think Delane can be the guy that at the end of the day amongst this trio has the most snaps on defense. I think Delane has the opportunity amongst this trio to have the most snaps and to make the biggest impact on special teams. Why? Because he's that special. I don't get hyperbolic that often on this show. I try my best not to, but when I see a guy that's a dude, I got to call it like I see it. This young man is a dude. He is a dog on the field, and it wouldn't shock me at all if Ryan Day comes out there or Patricia comes out there and says something about Delane getting more playing time because he's earned it. It wouldn't shock me because this dude can play. Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the portal because my guy Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the portal and Locked On Buckeyes on the YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send to every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. It's such a Locked On Buckeyes right here on Thursday. We'll see you next time.